Now there are some fundamental models which can be fitted in R, and one of the very fundamental functions which you have already seen is the LM function. In this module, we shall look at more detail at a similar function which is the GLM function. As you can guess from the name, the GLM function is used to fit generalized linear models in R, and just like the LM function, the syntax is very similar in the sense that it leads to an object upon which many commands such as the summary command, the residuals command, the prediction command, etc. can be applied. In this module, we shall look at more detail at the GLM function in the context of binomial data. Learning objectives for this module. We shall first look at the GLM function in R. Then we shall look at the syntax and various derivative functions which can be applied to the GLM function. And finally, we shall do all this in the context of binomial data. The tutorial given in this module will depend on the faraway library in R and the associated book on extending the linear model with R by Julian Faraway. So to begin with, we shall look at one of the data sets which we have used to motivate this course in our introductions. It is the very familiar O-rings data set included in the Faraway library in R, and it looks at the number of damaged O-rings for a series of shuttle launches as a function of temperature. Now recall that the motivation for this was the Challenger disaster in 1986. It turns out that testing O-rings can only be done at some fixed temperatures in lab settings, and thus it is useful to be able to get a regression line for this example, which gives the probability of failure of an O-ring at various temperatures. So in the first line of this code, we have fitted the model logitmod using the GLM function in R. The syntax for doing this is GLM. The outcome has been represented as cbind, which is bind as columns, damage, and 6 minus damage. Now note that for each shuttle there are 6 O-rings, and damage gives the number of damaged O-rings. Thus, the general syntax is cbind, success, and failure. We then use the tilde and a function which gives the regression model to be fitted. So in this case, we just have temperature as a covariate, and so our syntax is GLM cbind damage 6 minus damage tilde temperature. Family is binomial and O-rings. Note that we have not specified here that the link to use is the logit link, and the reason is that for the GLM function, the default link, which will be used if no particular link is specified, is always the canonical link, and you know that for binomial data this turns out to be the logit link. So in the first line of code, we have used the GLM function to fit a logistic regression to the O-rings data set and stored it in the object logitmod. We next run a summary of the logitmod object to get the corresponding coefficients. If you look at the output, then at first it returns the deviance residuals. Next, it gives the coefficients of the regression. So these are the coefficients which have been included in the linear predictor And there are 4 columns corresponding to the estimates, the betas, the standard errors, which have been derived using maximum likelihood theory, the corresponding z values, and the p values. Following this, there is another line of code which says dispersion parameter for the binomial family is taken to be 1. We shall briefly look at the meaning of this and how to generalize this later. It next gives 2 values of the deviance, something called the null deviance, which is the deviance without any covariance, and something called the residual deviance, which is the deviance after taking into account the covariance, which in this case is only temperature. It also measures the goodness of fit given by the AIC, and finally it gives the number of Fisher scoring iterations which were required for the model to converge. We might want to use the plot function. So here we have done a plot of the raw data. So plot damage by 6, which is the proportion of damaged O-rings as a function of temperature. And next we have superimposed the lines using the inverse logit function given by I logit 1. So note that the plot of the raw data is not really very useful, and the solid data shows the corresponding regression line fitted to this data set. We can fit a probit model to the data in more or less a similar function. So on this line, we have used the GLM function to fit a probit model to the O-rings data. So the syntax is almost as similar as before. The outcome is represented by C bind of damage and 6 minus damage, and this is regressed on temperature using the syntax tilde temperature, just as before. As before, we say family equal to binomial and data equal to O-rings. The only extra piece of code is that we need to say link equal to probit. If we had ignored this part of the code, then R would have used the default choice, which is the logit link. If we wish to use any other link function other than the logit, we need to specify it explicitly. The outcome looks just as before. So we have the deviance residuals, which I have not shown here, the coefficients, the estimates, standard errors, the associated z values, p values. We again have this line saying that the dispersion parameter for the binomial family is taken to 1. We have the null deviance, the residual deviance, and the AICs. If we wish to compare this to the results from the logit model, the easiest way is to do this by plotting the regression lines. So this, of course, can be done using p norm of the regression line and superimposing this on the earlier plot. We can also predict the temperatures at certain values. We can also predict the failure of the O-rings at specific temperatures, which was our purpose in analyzing the O-rings data. So if you recall, the temperature on the day of the 1986 launch was 31 degrees Fahrenheit, and we can predict the probability of failure at 31 degrees Fahrenheit for both the logit model and the probit model using the iLogit and the pnorm functions evaluated at the corresponding regression line. So that has been done in the last 2 lines of code given on this slide. So iLogit of 11.6630 minus 0.2162 star 31, and we can see that this suggests that the probability of failure of an O-ring was 0.993. Similarly, for the probit model, pnorm 5.0 5915 minus 0.1058 star 31, and we can see that for the Probit model, the probability of failure was 0.9896. We can get the confidence intervals using the first two lines of the coefficients, which is the estimates and the standard errors, and the critical value of 1.96 for the normal distribution. So this has been done in the first line of code, but there is also an alternative way of getting the confidence intervals, which is by using the confint function. The confint function is included in the mass library of R, and the syntax is confint into, within parentheses, the GLM object. This can take a bit of time, and it leads to confidence intervals for the coefficients based on the profile likelihood. For the orange data, we only consider the situation of one single covariate. We may, of course, want to fit a multiple regression model for binary outcomes. So one example of this is the baby food data set in R, where we have data on the boys and girls depending on whether they were bottle fed, were fed some supplement, or were breastfed only. So we have called the baby food data set. Note that this is included in the faraway library in R, and use the xtabs function to get a table of the data set showing the diseased and the non-diseased in terms of the sex of the child and whether or not they were bottle fed, breastfed, or supplement fed. So in the chunk of code given on this slide, we have again used the GLM function to fit a multiple logistic model, a multiple regression model, and note that the syntax for this is no more complicated than it was for the case when we have a single covariate. So GLM, as before, the outcome cbind disease into non-disease, success and failure, tilde, sex plus food. So this includes two covariates, sex and food. So note that sex is a factor with two levels, boys and girls, and alphabetically boys has been considered as the reference group, so that we only include one dummy variable corresponding to girls. Similarly, for food, the reference category is baby food. Again, this has been selected alphabetically, as we have not told R to do otherwise. And we have two dummies corresponding to breastfeeding and supplementation. The outcome looks more or less the same as before, only there are additional lines corresponding to the extra numbers of coefficients. There are many derivative functions which we can run on the GLM. So here, for example, we have used the drop function to drop one of the covariates, ND1, and we have asked R to do a chi-square test comparing the two models. So the model here is disease, non-disease on sex and food, the logistic model, and we have dropped respectively the term sex and food, the corresponding covariates, and R gives us the likelihood ratio test for the two as compared to the model with both covariates. So we can see, for example, that dropping sex leads to a p-value of 0.026 and dropping food leads to a p-value of 0.00002, suggesting that both covariates are significant. Choice of link function is of course an important consideration, and we illustrate this here on the dataset BLISS, which again is included in the faraway library. So we fit, using the GLM function in R, a regression of dead or alive on the concentration of a drug. So in the first case, we have fit GLM C-bind dead or alive on concentration, family equal to binomial, data equal to BLISS. You know that this will fit a logistic model. Next, we have fitted GLM C-bind dead or alive on concentration, family equal to binomial, and link equal to probit. And finally, we have refitted the model using link equal to C log-log, which is the complementary log-log function in R. We have stored these three GLMs in mod L, mod P, and mod C. To look at the link function, one way to do this is to look at the fitted values. So fitted of mod 1 returns the fitted values corresponding to mod 1. We can also use iLogit evaluated at the linear predictor to get the corresponding probabilities, and we can do C-bind of the fitted values for the three models. So C-bind of fitted mod L, mod P, fitted of mod P, and fitted of mod C to compare the predicted probabilities corresponding to the different links. You can also do a plot of the corresponding fitted values, which has been done on this slide. So we have used the iLogit function, the p-norm function, and 1 minus exponential of minus exponential, which is basically the inverse function for the complementary log-log link, and the plot and lines function to get the corresponding predicted lines. In the datasets we have considered so far, convergence has not been an issue. Now recall that maximum likelihood for GLMs cannot be fitted explicitly, and it is necessary to use iterative techniques. Specifically, the GLM function uses the algorithm of Fisher scoring. So here's an illustration on the hormone data set where we are fitting a regression of a covariate, a binary covariate called orientation, on the hormone levels of estrogen and androgen. So you can see that running this does not lead to the usual output, but rather leads to a warning message which says that algorithm did not converge in GLM fit. In such a situation, it is possible to run the iteration interactively and to ask R to output the results of each and every iteration. So this suggests that there was some problem with the corresponding Newton-Raphson type of algorithm. Nevertheless, if we run the summary function on model, we will get some outcomes, which is basically the outcome at the last iteration. So we should be wary and we should check whether or not the algorithm has converged before looking at such output. Here we have fitted bias reduction coefficient as a means of getting a better fit. Now it is possible to show that there is some bias in the coefficients for small samples, and thus bias reduction methods have been derived and can be fitted using the BR-LR function, which is included in the library of the same name. So this has been done in the chunk of code given on this slide, and note that the syntax and the outcome is very similar to that of the GLM function in R. Goodness of fit, as you know, for GLMs is not as straightforward as for LM. So for the LM, you know that we can run residuals of LM and it will return the values of y minus y hat. We can do that here also, but we need to tell R what kind of residual we want. So for example, on the third line of code given on this slide, we use the residuals function on the mod L object, and it says residual mod L type equal to Pearson. This will return the Pearson coefficients, the Pearson residuals for this data. Similarly, we could say type equal to deviance, or rather we could not, because deviance residuals are the default residuals and will be returned if we use the residuals function on model without any specification of the type. So here we have used the residuals to construct a single summary goodness of fit measure. So the syntax sum residuals mod 1 type Pearson caret 2 returns the sum of the squared Pearsonian residuals, and you know that this is the usual Pearsonian goodness of fit measure. The better and more natural measure to use for goodness of fit is, however, the deviance measure, and this can be returned by using the deviance mod 1, the derived function deviance on the mod 1 object. Briefly, the concept of over-dispersion. So you have been seeing in the previous R output that we have been getting one line which says that the dispersion parameter for the binomial family has been taken as 1. This means that when we relate the variance to the mean, we just have a situation where the variance can be specified completely given the mean. However, note that in some cases, which will be given in further modules, we might have situations where the variance is some scale factor times the mean. That is, if the scale factor exceeds 1, then we have a situation where the observed variance exceeds the model-based variance, and if the scale factor is less than 1, we have a situation where the model-based variance, which we know is n pi into 1 minus pi for binomial data, is less than the observed variance. This might sound rather puzzling at the moment, but in further modules, we will look at cases where we have binomial data and the variance is either greater than n of pi 1 minus pi or less than n of pi 1 minus pi. So one example, for instance, where this can occur is when we have clustered data. Now, the reason for saying this is to just give you some indication of how to diagnose and correct this. So here we have used the Trouteg data set from the Faraway library. You can run the ftable command to see what the data set looks like and see that the mean and variance do not appear to obey the usual relationship. You can also look at this by running the residuals command and doing a half-normal plot of the residuals. So this is the kind of plot which you will get by running the command, and this suggests that there is some factor which we have probably overlooked, which leads to this kind of a systematic pattern in the residuals. A remedy for this is to fit the same model, but in this case we can use a link which is equal to quasi-binomial. So we shall look more at this in a future module. For now, we are estimating an additional scale parameter which we call sigma square, and this is done by summing over the squared Pearsonian residuals from the standard model and dividing it by the number of degrees of freedom. So this gives you a scale parameter of 5.33 and suggests that the variance is not just a function of the mean, not just the usual function given by n pi 1 minus pi, but this multiplied by a factor of 5.33. We should look at the phenomenon of overdispersion in more detail in subsequent modules. So this is the kind of plot which you will get by running the command, and this suggests that there is some factor which we have probably overlooked, which leads to this kind of a systematic pattern in the residuals. A remedy for this is to fit the same model, but in this case we can use a link which is equal to quasi-binomial. So we shall look more at this in a future module. For now, we are estimating an additional scale parameter which we call sigma square, and this is done by summing over the squared Pearsonian residuals from the standard model and dividing it by the number of degrees of freedom. So this gives you a scale parameter of 5.33 and suggests that the variance is not just a function of the mean, not just the usual function given by n pi 1 minus pi, but this multiplied by a factor of 5.33. We should look at the phenomenon of overdispersion in more detail in subsequent modules. In this module, we have looked at the GLN function in R. The GLN function is a very fundamental function in R, and it is extremely useful to know the syntax, because the syntax of this model can be generalized to a large number of models. So we have looked at the GLN function, details of the syntax in the context of binomial data, and we have seen that just as for the LN function, which you have seen in the paper on regression, it is possible to apply some fundamental functions such as the summary function, the residuals function, the prediction function, the plot function, the confidence interval function, and so on to GLN. It would be a very useful exercise for you to download one of the Poisson data sets for count data and to see if you can generalize these same applications of the GLN function to count data. I leave this to you as an exercise.